They called him the Zodiac, a name that would soon strike fear across California and echo for decades as one of the darkest unsolved mysteries in American history. In the late 1960s, a shadow moved through the San Francisco Bay Area, leaving behind bodies, cryptic letters, and an identity that to this day remains unknown. He wasn't just a killer. He was a showman, a manipulator, a man who craved control not only of his victims, but of the police, the media, and the public itself. This is the terrifying story of the Zodiac Killer. The nightmare began on December 20th, 1968, when two teenagers, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, went out on their first date in Vallejo, California. They never came home. Their bodies were discovered on a lonely road, shot without mercy. For a while, it seemed like a random, tragic killing. But just months later, on July 4th, 1969, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mago, were attacked in almost the same area. Darlene was killed. Michael barely survived. Then came the phone call. A man claiming responsibility called the police, describing details only the killer would know. The Zodiac had revealed himself, but the killings were only part of his terror. What truly set him apart were his letters. Starting in August 1969, newspapers across the Bay Area received chilling messages. Each began with the same haunting phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking." Enclosed were cryptograms codes he demanded the papers publish, or else more people would die. Some of these codes remain unsolved to this day. In one, he wrote that killing humans was more exciting than hunting wild animals. In another, he claimed he would collect slaves for the afterlife. Police scrambled to stop him, but the Zodiac seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. He struck again in September 1969 when Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa. This time, the killer wore a hooded costume marked with his signature crosshair symbol. He tied them up, stabbed them repeatedly, and left them to die. Cecilia would not survive. Hours later, the Zodiac himself called police from a payphone, calmly confessing to the crime. Just a month later, he attacked again, this time in San Francisco, shooting a cab driver named Paul Stein. It was his boldest crime yet, committed in the heart of the city, and it showed one terrifying truth. The Zodiac was escalating. But who was he? Over the years, hundreds of suspects have been named. Arthur Lee Allen, a convicted child molester, seemed to fit the profile. He lived near the first crime scenes. He even told people he wanted to be called the Zodiac, but evidence was never conclusive. DNA tests decades later excluded him. Other suspects came and went. Some investigators believed the killer might have been connected to the military, given his use of coded messages and weapons. Others believed he was simply a disturbed genius who craved attention. The Zodiac taunted police for years, sending over 20 letters, claiming to have killed as many as 37 people, though only 5 have been officially linked to him. He threatened school buses, boasted about his intelligence, and mocked detectives who failed to catch him. His final confirmed letter arrived in 1974, after which he vanished into silence. Did he die? Did he retire? Or did he continue killing under a new name, blending back into society while the world kept searching for a ghost? Decades have passed, yet the case remains open. Amateur sleuths and professional investigators alike still pore over his ciphers. In 2020, one of his unsolved codes, the infamous 340 cipher, was finally cracked by a team of codebreakers from around the world. The message, however, revealed no identity, only more of the Zodiac's twisted ramblings. It was another cruel joke from a man who knew his greatest power was in being unknown. And that's what makes the Zodiac Killer so terrifying. He may be gone, but his shadow lingers. Every unsolved murder in California, every cryptic note online, every time someone whispers, maybe it was him, the Zodiac knew that fear doesn't end with death, it multiplies with mystery. To this day, his true face has never been revealed. Was he a genius who walked among us? A faceless predator who got away with murder? Or just a man who played a role so well that the world never saw the truth? One thing is certain. When the Zodiac said, "This is the Zodiac speaking," he made sure the world would never forget his voice. Because sometimes the most powerful weapon isn't a gun or a knife, it's a name that never dies.